What's going on? All thanks for tuning in once again. Julio Chavez versus Jake Paul. I'm hoping that Paul gets knocked out. Let's not kid ourselves here. Jake Paul hasn't really fought anybody that has experience like Chavez. I know that he's fought Tommy Fury. We can't really count Mike Tyson, can we? That looked like a Tyson that just didn't have much at all. He looked like he was gassed very early. Father Time kicked in. Paul obviously lost to Tommy Fury. Chavez, a well-known fighter. He has been in the game for a long time. Most people know his dad. So this is Junior Chavez. He's fought guys like Canelo. He's been in the business for a long time. I just don't think that he's fit enough to beat Paul. I believe he's 39. He's had a couple of hiccups along the way, drug use and things like that. So I just think that Paul's caught him at the right time and purposely caught him at the right time. So I'm picking Paul to knock him out. I hope that he doesn't. I hope that Chavez shows up. I just don't know how much he's got left in him. How much off the rails he is. This is a pay-per-view, believe it or not. Ramirez on the undercard, shockingly. But I just want the circus act to end. I just want someone to really knock out Paul. Paul's been saying things like, Canelo struggles against Chavez. Canelo went the distance with him, but he basically beat him up in every round. In my opinion, he let him off the hook. He could have knocked him out if he wanted to. But I think out of respect for his dad, he just made him survive that fight. Who knows? But I just think that Chavez, if he shows up, he wins. But I just question his withdrawals. I question his condition. He also didn't lose to Silva. So Jake Paul, being the younger guy, being more conditioned, mentally more there. Obviously Chavez got the experience, but Paul just, in boxing you have to be mentally there and physically there, and I just think that Chavez isn't physically there, in terms of just what he's been through. We've seen this a lot of times where fighters show up and they just, they're just not there mentally. So I just think that because of the timing of the fight, because Chavez is 39, he did go through a lot of things. I think that Paul knocks him out round 4. What I will say though is that if Chavez looks good early and he's winning a couple of rounds, I'm picking him to beat Paul by decision. I don't think that he'll knock him out, but I think by decision. Paul is the naturally heavier guy, so I want Chavez to win, but I think Paul will knock him out round 4. I'm not going to watch the fight at all, but I'll definitely watch the highlights. Leave your take. What do you think of the fight? I'm hoping that Paul fights someone, more conditioned, more his age, make it a more fairer fight. These pay-per-view headlining fights, it's really shocking. It's really shocking when younger guys are fighting older guys that are just not there. And hopefully this comes to a stop soon. But on this fight, I'm picking Paul to win by knockout. I'm hoping that Ramirez also pulls through on his fight, so that we can see the Opetao and Ramirez fight in the near future. But in this occasion, I'm going Paul knockout 1-4 leave or take, and I'll catch you next time. Enjoy the fight, or enjoy the undercard maybe. And thanks for tuning in. Peace.